Here's a follow-up video to the charts we sent out last night. Let me start with, MCO was one. We played very few of them because, again, I get easily sidetracked and you can only watch so many stocks at a time. And we added quite a few in the pre-market, so not even sure of everything that was on the list. Like Alcoa, that gap up, I never found a decent entry in that one. Matter of fact, I didn't look at it most of the day. Yeah, look at that, gapped up, but ended up closing at its lows. We did get a trade in that sister stock we talked about, CENX. Took this on 30s. Consecutive lower tops and a nice narrow candle. 1069 was the call right here, the first break of a previous 30s high once we had at least three complete. So 1069. Worst case stop, my stop idea was 1064. The worst case was 1056. But I like the 1064 because then it only risked about a nickel. And from 1069 all the way up through 1104, very nice trade there. A ton of people made money on that one today. Let's go back to the dailies. So as far as what we sent out, MCO might have been the only call. Remember, we liked it over this 2-day high here. Unfortunately, it gapped above, so we couldn't buy it as it broke through. We had an initial trigger of 2086, but since it opened at 2115, that changed everything. So we let it trade for a little bit. Hit this early high right here of 2122, pulled back. As it came back up, I said I liked it if it breaks its early high again, 21.23. Worst case stop right here below 21. So you had about a 23, 24 cent risk here. And from 21.23, this ended up making it all the way to 22.22, almost $1 possible profit there without ever stopping out. So MCO pretty big. Some others that we had on in the room today that I don't think were on the list, but we ended up adding this morning. American Eagle, because of this gap up, AEO. We ended up grabbing this at 1757. 3-minute candles here. Right above this little base, because you still had the high of day there. It hit 1756 right here. Put in this nice little base. Sometimes if I zoom in, it makes it easier to see. This is this base right here, these 3 or 4 candles. We called it at 1757, which my magnifying glass is the pointer there. Worst case stop below this base, 1746. So an 11 cent risk. And from 1757, this thing went all the way to 1838. Again, stop never came close to getting hit. So another real nice profitable trade today. YRCW, very nice percentage gain here. We called this one on 30s. I'll show you again. We like the fact that it gapped up. We liked the daily chart, and you had nice consecutive lower tops. And what I love here, you had a nice narrow candle. 424 was the trigger. Worst case stop, 419. That's only a nickel risk too. Never got hit. And from 424 all the way up to 483, that's a very nice percentage gain there. So YRCW, another big one in the chat room today. Halliburton, I mentioned this one as an idea on 15s. Using 15-minute candles, I spotted a nice consecutive lower tops, bottoming tail here. First break of a previous 15s high, 28.25 right here, and shot pretty quickly to 28.89. Halliburton was breaking out into space here. I don't know what this is, but this didn't really happen. This I call that an errant tick that just messes up the charts. But we knew Halliburton had room if it got above these recent highs. So the 15 setup ended up being very nice. Also traded SVNT. On a new strategy we're using, how to play sell-offs. When you get a panic sell-off, we found a pretty consistent low-risk entry way to trade them. Call it our waterfall strategy when something's really tanking. And SVNT, using that strategy, we were able to grab it all the way down here at 12.35. I think the risk was less than a dime. Never got hit again. Love the tight stops. That's what we focus on. 12.35 all the way back to 13.47, somewhere right about here, before selling off a little bit. So very nice afternoon trade there in SVNT. And couple actually had a decent idea in PNC along those same lines. In the high 43s and ended up running to 44.40 or something like that. I don't have the exact figures on that, but that was like a really late in the day call. So overall, just a fantastic day. Again, if you notice, our main focus is low risk setups. Okay, it's got to have a tight stop. It's got to make sense on the chart, and we're pretty successful today. Had a nice green day. So we will follow up next week with some more charts for you to watch. We'll just kind of pick one day out of the day out of the week. I'm sorry, at random, and choose that day to kind of send out what we're watching for the following day. But as you can see, sometimes there's a ton of stocks that we play that weren't even on the watch list. So most of what we do, you have to understand, is based on things we find intraday. The watch list that we put out the night before is just a starting point. So we have some stocks to start watching. But these lists we send out, they're not etched in stone, and we might not play any of them on any given day. Most of what we do is based on intraday trading. We take into account the overall direction of the market at that current time, and we've got 150 to 200 of us scanning all the time for different setups that we teach. So it really is a teamwork atmosphere in there, and I couldn't be happier having a group like that to trade with. So we will follow up next week with some more charts of interest. Have a great weekend.